I'll simplify. It's always good to say that, look, these are complex, they're comprehensive, they're constructive negotiations with the Americans are ongoing. It's possible that they may not conclude by the 1st of August.
Yeah, we know. It's tomorrow.
But we'll see. The team's there. We're working hard. Conversations today, myself. So we'll see. There are, and the specific aspect of the question included a reference to the European Union deal, and could it include, could our accord with the United States include commitments on investments and other aspects? And I just observed that there are many areas for cooperation between Canada and the United States, including defense spending, security spending, investments, which is one of the reasons why we're having these broader discussions.
What did he say? Nothing? We're talking, we're having these discussions.
Yeah, it's always about having conversations. That's what the Liberals seem to be really good at. We're going to keep talking about it. We're going to have conversations. Remember, we hired that border czar, whatever his name was, because I haven't heard from him since, but he was said to be going on to have all these robust discussions and conversations to secure the border. Yeah. How did those end up? How are those going? I think they're all on summer break, it would seem to me. And the thing that really maddens me the most about all of this is that Carney's obviously going to be just fine. His 16 pages of ethics disclosure show that he has roughly 98% of his supposed blind trust, which, well, I would say
it's not blind if you know what holdings you have.
Yeah, just more smoke and mirrors for the brainless. But 98% of those companies that he has in this supposed blind trust are U.S. based companies that are going to be just fine throughout all of this. And don't forget that he moved Brookfield Asset Management out of Canada ahead of all of this economic turmoil back in November. Just before he was slated to run as the Trudeau replacement, he was busy doing those deals, getting his companies out of Canada because he could see the writing on the wall. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, Trump's hitting us with all of these tariffs and starting this trade war. And it's like, yeah, but you knew because you got your companies out of here far in advance of this dumpster fire. And now here we are, Carney's playing with the lives and the future of Canadians. And he and his ilk will be just fine through it all.
Yeah. It's a big club and we aren't in it. We've also got Trudeau leaving us, or Trudeau. We've got the rest of the world just leaving us in the dust. So we've got Donald Trump saying on Truth Social, I've concluded a telephone conversation. And this seems to be at one of those conversations that actually move the needle, not like the Canadian style conversations. Trump says, I've just concluded a telephone conversation with the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, which was very successful in that more and more we are getting to know and understand each other. The complexities of a deal with Mexico are somewhat different than other nations because of the problems and assets of the border. And then he goes on to say, we have agreed to extend for a 90-day period the exact same deal as we had for the last short period of time, namely that Mexico will continue to pay a 25% fentanyl tariff, a 25% tariff on cars, and 50% tariff on steel, aluminum, and copper. Additionally, Mexico has agreed to immediately terminate its non-tariff trade barriers, of which there were many. We'll be talking to Mexico over the next 90 days with the goal of signing a trade deal somewhere within the 90-day period of time or longer. Present at the meeting were Vice President J.D. Vance, and then it goes on to list them all. So anyways, Mexico is having, sounds like, productive talks with the United States. And what are we getting here in Canada? Who knows?
The promise of maybe more talks?
Yeah, maybe more talks, and we may not have a deal by 12 a.m. midnight tonight, I guess.
I would say it's pretty, I think it's safe to say that we just won't have a deal. And the dumpster fire continues to unleash itself in Canada. We have finally some cosplaying as conservatism from Doug Ford. This clip just came out about an hour ago. with Ford giving advice to Mark Carney to, I guess, go hard against America because you campaigned on elbows being up, right? So you're supposed to be already going hard against America. And then that was a very short-lived promise. But here, listen to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, what he has to say, which, well, I guess we'll come back and find out if it's actually worth it.
I've got things to say about his comments.
You know what's a problem with President Trump? And, you know, we're united. First of all, I've never seen this country more united, ever, in all my years of being in politics. And it's a great feeling, all provinces, territories, municipalities, and the federal government. But, you know, Prime Minister Carney is trying his best, but this guy will say something one day, and he'll wake up, and the cheese slips off the cracker, and then all of a sudden he goes the other way. And you're thinking, how do you deal with a guy like this?
Like Ford?
Are we hoping that we can get a deal with zero tariffs? Yes. But I always say how we can kick back, and it's not the American people, kick back at President Trump. Let's start onshoring everything, absolutely everything we possibly can. Like I-beams, those big steel I-beams. I didn't realize we don't make them here until found out during the trade deal. Or the rails that are beautiful. Our cars are going to be made, sorry, the streetcars are going to be made down the street. We don't make the rails, so we need to start making rails and start making sure that we make those steel I-beams and aluminum cans. Aluminum cans are my favorite. The Coke, the Pepsis, all the other beverages, the Molsons, the Labatt's, the craft brewers. We're the kings of aluminum in Quebec. They ship the aluminum down, 25% tariff. They get printed and formed, 25% back tariffs. So my question was, why aren't we making aluminum cans here? Now we're going to be making aluminum cans. They're going to lose $1 billion worth of business in the U.S. And same with tin cans from DeFasco. Ship it down to the U.S. They get formed. I had a meeting with the big users of the tins. Now we're bringing a line up here. And they're going to be losing out on about 1.3 billion cans just on the tin cans. But we can build anything here. We're an economic powerhouse. You know, folks, we don't have to take a back seat to anyone in the world, and we sure the heck don't have to take a back seat to President Trump. He needs to remember, yes, they're our number one customer, but we're their number one customer. You hear about all these deals he's making, and they're good countries, Japan and Korea. But I'll give you an example with Japan. He said he made this beautiful deal and everything, and God bless him. But they buy $79 billion worth of products, U.S., off of the U.S. Canada buys $359 billion U.S. off the folks south of the border. 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce a widget or a good just for Ontario alone. Those 9 million jobs are in jeopardy right now. We buy more products off the U.S. than Japan, Korea, China, the UK, and France combined. So I wouldn't roll over, and I've told the Prime Minister, do not roll over, hit that guy back as hard as we possibly can, and that's what we need to do, and we can do it. We can build anything here.
That's enough.
Yeah, I think we need to cut. He did roll over. Do we all forget 2 weeks ago when Carney rescinded immediately the digital sales tax after Trump threatened to halt tariffs completely unless he did?
And I'm glad he did, actually, because that would have made all of our streaming platforms more expensive. But yeah, like Doug Ford saying, like, who knows what the guy's up to today? Like, first of all, don't insult President Trump. He's a very proud man and he pays attention to what people say about him. Don't say his cheese slid off the cracker, especially Doug Ford saying that when he's like, yeah, we should cut off oil to the United States. Oh, wait, don't do that. We should, because that would cut off our oil. We should cut off energy, like as in electricity to upstate New York. Oh, wait, actually, we're not going to do that. Like, he's the guy who flip-flops. And then to say we can build anything in Canada, that's the problem. We can't, because people like Mark Carney are running the country. You know, if Ford wants to say something about us sending stuff to the United States to be completed and then coming back into Canada, let's talk about oil, because the oil that Ontario and Quebec rely on is Alberta oil, but it gets sent to the United States and then it comes back up through line 9 and 5. That's a problem. If you want to end your reliance on an integrated trade system with the United States, which I don't want to end that reliance. I think we should figure out how to work together. But where's our West-East pipeline? Why don't we start repealing some of the onerous pieces of legislation that have scared away any sort of private sector investment in building pipelines in this country? That's the problem. I don't want the government to do it. I want the government to get out of the way. But for them, for Doug Ford to say, we can build anything in this country, actually, we can't. That's the whole problem. And also, we are not more united than ever. One, and once the first province goes, the second province will go. There are two provinces that are like, we got to get out of here. Like it's the least united this country has ever been. He's living in a dream world.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to even claim that we're united when there is a mass exodus of Ontarians out of Ontario, fleeing to other places like Alberta or like to the United States because they can no longer handle living under this absolute disastrous government. I would say Canadians are not united in any sense of the word, and they are fleeing his province, Doug Ford's province, and this country at rates we have never seen before. You can look at StatsCan, you can see it for yourself. People are getting out of Dodge because it is quite literally, I've said it so many times, a dumpster fire right now. And you have people like that, Premier of Ontario, going up in front of the people and talking absolute gibberish. It is so alarming that they haven't, by this point, at the very latest and least, switched gears, because that is what we need. As more trade deals get finalized with other countries in the US, those ties strengthen and Canada will have nothing left to leverage because all of the deals will already have been done. Yeah. And as Trump just says, you know what, forget Canada. They can't get their act together. They're not coming to the table. And what makes it worth his while to want to get a trade deal in place when he's out there making deals with all these other countries and Canada's just left like twiddling their thumbs, hoping that Big Brother comes back around. Mark Carney is weak. His elbows are tucked and his tail is neat between his legs. He's not getting us any sort of winning trade deal here. And again, it doesn't matter for Mark Carney. He'll be all right. It's us, the little guys and the plebs, who are going to suffer through the fallout of all of this.